Dhyana Upanishads.
Om Gananam Tva Ganapatigum Havamahe Kavim Kavinam Upavachramastamam Jyashtarajam Brahmanan Brahmanaspadana Shrunmannoti Vistidasadhanam. Om Purnamidam Purnamadah Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Krishna Yajurveda Upanishad, Dhyana Bindu Upanishad Part 2. Prana, Apana, Samana, Udana and Vayana, Naga Kurma, Krikara, Devadatta and Dhyana Dhananjaya. Of these, the first 5 are called Pranas and the last 5 Naga are called Vayus. All these are situated, the 1000 nadis, in the form of life. Jiva, which is under the influence of Prana and Apana, goes up and down. Jiva, on account of its ever moving by the left and right paths, is not visible. Just as a ball struck down with the bat of the hand springs up, so Jiva, ever tossed by Prana and Apana, is never at rest. He is knower of yoga who knows that Prana always draws itself from Apana and Apana draws itself from Prana, like a bird from the string. The Jiva comes out with the letter Ha and gets in again with the letter Sa. Thus Jiva always utters the mantra Hamsa, Hamsa. The Jiva always utters the mantra 21,600 times in one day and night. This is called Ajapa Gayatri and is ever the bestower of nirvana to the yogins. Through its very thought, man is freed from sins. Neither in the past nor in the future is there a science equal to this, a japa equal to this, or a meritorious action equal to this. Parameshwari, Kundalini Sakti, sleeps shutting with her mouth that door which leads to the decayless Brahma whole. Being aroused by the contact of Agni with Manas and Prana, she takes the form of a needle and pierces up through Susmana. The yogin should open with great effort this door which is shut, then he will pierce the door to salvation by means of Kundalini. Folding firmly the fingers of the hand, assuming firmly the Padma postures, placing the chin firmly on the breast and fixing the mind in Dhyana, one should frequently raise up the Apana, fill up with air and then leave the Prana. Then the wise man gets matchless wisdom through Shakti. That yogin who, assuming Padma posture, worships Vayu at the door of the nadis and then performs restraint of breath is released without doubt. Rubbing off the limbs, the sweat arising from fatigue, abandoning all acid, bitter and saltish, taking delight in the drinking of milk and rasa, practicing celibacy, being moderate in eating and ever bent on yoga, the yogin becomes a siddha in little more than a year. No inquiry need be made concerning the result. Kundalini Shakti, when it is up in the throat, makes the yogi get siddhi. The union of prana and apana has the extinction of urine and feces. One becomes young even when old through performing Mula Bandha always, pressing the yoni by means of the heels and contracting the anus and drawing up the apana. This is called Mula Bandha. Uddiyana Bandha is also called because it is a great bird that flies up always without rest. One should bring the western part of the stomach above the navel. This Udyana Bandha is a lion to the elephant of death, since it binds the water of the Akasha, which arises in the head and flows down. The Jalandhara Bandha is the destroyer of all pains of the throat. When this Jalandhara Bandha, which is destroyer of the pains of the throat, is performed, then nectar does not fall on Agni, nor does the Vayu move. When the tongue enters backwards into the hole of the skull, then there is the mudra of vision latent in the eyebrow called Kechari. He who knows the mudra Kechari has not disease, death, sleep, hunger, thirst, or swoon. He who practices this mudra is not affected by illness or karma, nor is he bound by the limitations of time. Since Chitta moves in the Kaha, Akasha, and since the tongue has entered in the mudra Kha, therefore the mudra is called Kechari and worshipped by the Siddhas. He whose hole above the uvula is closed with the tongue backward by means of Kechari mudra never loses his virility even when embraced by a lovely woman. Where is the fear of death so long as the Bindu stays in the body? Bindu does not go out of the body so long as the Kechari mudra is practiced. When Bindu comes down to the sphere of the perineum, it goes up, being prevented and forced up by violent effort through Yoni mudra. This Bindu is twofold, white and red. The white one is called Sukla and the red one is said to contain much rajas. The rajas which stays in Yoni is like the color of a coral. The Bindu stays in the seat of genital organs. The union of these two is very rare. Bindu is Shiva and Rajas is Shakti. Bindu is the moon and Rajas is the sun. Through the union of these two is attained the highest body. When Rajas is roused up by agitating the Shakti through Vayu, which unites with the sun, thence is produced the divine form. Shukla being united with the moon and Rajas with the sun, he is a knower of yoga who knows the proper mixture of these two. The cleansing of the accumulated refuse, the unification of the sun and the moon, and the complete drying of the rasas, this is called Mahamudra. Placing the chin on the breast, pressing the anus by means of the left heel and seizing the extended right leg by the two hands, one should fill this belly and should slowly exhale. This is called Mahamudra, the destroyer of the sins of men. Now I shall give a description of Atman. In the seat of the heart is a lotus of 8 petals, and its center is Jivatma of the form of Jyotis and atomic in size, moving in a circular line. It is located everything. It knows everything. It does everything. It does all these actions, attributing everything to its own power. I do, I enjoy, I am happy. I am miserable, I am blind, I am lame, I am deaf, I am mute, I am lean, I am stout. When it rests on the eastern petal, which is of Sweta color, then it has a mind to dharma with bhakti. When it rests on the southeastern petal, which is of Rakta, then it is inclined to sleep and laziness. When it rests on the southern petal, which is of Krishna color, then it is inclined to hate and anger. When it rests on the southwestern petal, which is the Nila color, then it gets desire for sinful or harmful actions. When it rests on the western petal, which is of crystal color, then it is inclined to flit and amuse. When it rests on the northern western petal, which is of ruby color, then it has a mind to walk, row, and have vairagya. Then it rests on the northern petal, which is Pitta color, then it is inclined to be happy and to be loving. When it rests on the northeastern petal, which is of Vaidurya color, then it is inclined to amassing money, charity, and passion. When it stays in the interspace between any two petals, then it gets the wrath arising from diseases generated through the disturbance of the equilibrium of Vayu, bile, and phlegm in the body. When it stays in the middle, then it knows everything, sings, dances, speaks, and is blissful. When the eye is pained, then in order to remove pain, it makes first a circular line and sinks in the middle. The first line is of the color of Bandhuka flower, then is the state of sleep. In the middle of the state of sleep is the state of dream. In the middle of the state of dream, it experiences the ideas of perception. Vedas, inference, possibility, words. Then there arises much fatigue. In order to remove this fatigue, it circles the second line and sinks in the middle. This second is the color of insect. Indra Gopa. Then comes the state of dreamlessness, sleep. During the dreamless sleep, it has only the thought connected with Parameshwara alone. This state is of the nature of eternal wisdom. Afterwards, it attains the nature of the highest Lord. Then it makes a round of the third circle and sinks in the middle. The third circle is of the color of Padma Marga. Then comes the state of Turiya. In Turiya, there is only the connection of Paramatman. It attains the nature of eternal wisdom. Then one should gradually attain the quiescence of Buddhi with self-control. Placing the manas in Atman, one should think of nothing else. Then causing the union of prana and apana, he concentrates his aim upon the whole universe being of the nature of Atman. Then comes the state of Turyatiya. Then everything appears as bliss. He is beyond the pairs of happiness and pain. He stays here as long as he should wear his body. Then he attains the nature of Paramatman and attains emancipation through this means. This alone is the means of knowing Atman. When Vayu, which enters the great hole associated with a hall where four roads meet, gets into the half of the well-placed triangle, then is Achyuta, the indestructible scene. About the aforesaid triangle, one should meditate on the five bija, Prithvi, as also on the five pranas, the color of the bijas and their position. The letter Ya is the bija of prana and resembles the blue cloud. The letter Ra is the bija of Agni, is of Apana and resembles the sun. The letter La is the bija of Prithvi, is of Vayana and resembles Bandhuka flower. The letter Va is the bija of Jiva, is of Udana and is of the color of the conch. The letter Ha is the bija of Akasha, is of Samana and is of the color of crystal. Prana stays in the heart, navel, nose, ear, foot, finger and other places, travels through the 72,000 nadis, stays in the 28 crores of hair pores and is yet the same everywhere. It is that which is called Jiva. One should perform the three expiration with a firm will and great control and drawing in everything in slow degrees. He should bind prana and apana in the cave of the lotus of the heart and utter pranava, having contracted his throat and the genital organ. From the Mooladhara is the Susupna resembling the shining thread of the lotus. The Nada is located in the Danda. That sound from its middle resembles of the conch. When it goes to the whole of Akasha, it resembles that of the peacock. In the middle of the cave of the skull between the four doors shines Atman like the sun in the sky. Between the two bows is the Brahma hole. One should see Purusha with Shakti as his own Atman. Then his manas is absorbed there. That man attains Kaivalya with who understands the gems, moonlight, Nada, Bindu, and the seat of Maheshwara, the great Lord. Thus is the Upanishad. Om, may He protect us both together. May He nourish us both together. He may work conjointly with great energy. May our study be vigorous and effective. May we not mutually dispute. Om, let there be peace in me. Let there be peace in my environment. Let there be peace in the forces that act on me. Here ends the Dhyana Bindu Upanishad belonging to Krishna Yajurveda.